Okay, this is the last journal entry before we discuss the writing prompt for this first essay. If you've been following along and doing the journal entries and viewing the screencasts, doing the activities that I've suggested so far, then you have everything that you need for the groundwork for your first essay. So the first journal entry asked you to make a list of items that you associate with a person, a place, or an event that's happened that you feel very strongly about. You have some kind of emotional connection or strong memory attached to. And we just made that list in Journal 1. In Journal 2, I asked you to take that list and select the 3 strongest items from your bulleted list, ones that you felt that you could elaborate on and make stronger, and take those 3 items and build in some description. I gave you an example of my grandmother's cookbook, and I asked you to use your 5 senses, infuse the sensory details in there to make it stronger. Now, the last thing that you have to do for any essay is to give it that so what factor. And we said that description is just a list unless the items mean something. And so we know that the items are special to you in some way, but how do you relate that to your readers? And so that's what Journal 3 is all about. By now you have viewed the screencast on Normandy Beachhead. Hopefully you've looked through the essay Dancing on 74th Street, where you had these strong, vivid details, sensory details, and sights and smells and sounds, as well as strong action verbs and phrases. That gives you a really good example of something short and compact but very powerful that you can do, these little moves that you can make. You viewed the so what and the 7 common moves that every good writer infuses into their essay. And so now with this journal, in order to keep your readers interested, I want you to make a connection that you can share with your readers. So I want you to figure out a so what factor for your items to fluff them out and make them more powerful. So I gave you Journal 2 with my cookbook example. I told you that I chose the 3 objects that I associate most with my grandmother. I chose the cookbook. I chose the labels that before her memory started going, that she would ask us to purchase for her so that she could place them on the bottom of items around her house so that she would remember who gave them to her and what time period and year they came from. And then also the drawer in her house that I was enchanted with when I was a kid, full of the buttons and the thread and the thimbles, and I just love that drawer, and it's just my grandmother to me. So but for my journal example, for this example, I'm going to take that paragraph that I wrote about that cookbook, and now I'm going to give it a so what factor. I'm going to find a way to infuse my meaning, my emotions, and my feelings about it in a way that is going to connect with my audience, to make a connection with my readers. So as a child, I would make the 200-yard trek almost nightly to the back porch to see what was on at my grandmother's house for dinner. I would lick every spoon, sample every dish, her own built-in quality control. High on the kitchen shelf, this is just my paragraph that I've dumped in to the middle here. I've added a little intro to it to kind of set it up. High on the kitchen shelf sat the lemon yellow Calling All Cooks, her favorite cookbook. It's been sitting there since 1982, the year I was born. Everything in my grandmother's house always smelled faintly of cinnamon and Jergens lotion, original cherry almond scent, so the old cookbook was no exception. The pages, dog-eared and worn, bear carefully handwritten adjustments to her favorite recipe and the faint stains from the drips of this sauce or another that were hastily scrubbed away. The crazy thing is, she did not even need the book. She knew every recipe by heart, and she patiently showed me how to create each one exactly how she did, standing there in our matching aprons side by side at the stove. She was the best cook I've ever known. Her greatness was a testament to how much she loved cooking for her family. It was her passion, her gift to others, until the day that dementia started to poke holes in her mind. Now all that is left are the memories and that precious cookbook. So I took that paragraph full of my details, my sensory details. I talked about the smell. I talked about the sight. Of the pages and the stains on the pages and the handwritten adjustments. And then I infused a so what factor. So what? We're talking about this cookbook. Well, what you didn't know that you now know is that my grandmother no longer can cook this way because her dementia has taken that away from her, something that she loved to do. But that cookbook will always be a memory of that time where she taught me how to cook and cooked for her family and passed that love of cooking for down to me, and I've carried that down to my son as well. So it's no longer just an object. It's an object that means something. So what you're going to do with your journal 3 is to take your 3 paragraphs that you've created for your 3 objects, and you're going to infuse a so what factor into those 3 objects. These 3 paragraphs are going to end up being the foundation for your first essay, which we're going to go over the prompt now. So, search your memory for a collection of things that reflect the character of the person or people, event, or place associated with them. The things could be tools or household objects or articles of clothing. They could be litter from a party, a ball game, a dance, clues about a person or people who attended the event. Make a list of these items. It could be a short list, a few items described in exquisite detail, or a long one of many objects that you associate with this person, place, or event. And I told you to focus on 3 as a good start, but however, you don't have to do just 3. It fits well with an essay format to have an introduction, a conclusion, and 3 body paragraphs in the middle. Once you have your list, select the strongest ones to write an essay describing these things in a way that reveals something about the person or place associated with them or the nature of the activity that produced them. What you want to do is to breathe life into this person, this place, this event for your audience, so that we can almost visually picture this person and how much, or this place or this event, and how much that it meant to you, how a powerful memory for you. Use those 5 senses, those vivid sensory details, figurative language, similes, metaphors, personification, creating an almost tangible or touchable picture for your audience. Before you write, decide on the dominant impression you want to convey to your reader. Remember that your description should have that so what factor which keeps your reader interested and engaged. It's that thing that means. Be aware of what you want them to think, feel, or know about your memory, and find the proper balance between showing and telling. Talked about that in 7 common moves, as well as that of specific details and generalizations. Your paper should be 500 to 700 words in length. I want you to shoot for 500. I give that last 200 word buffer because sometimes you roll over. But remember economy. Be concise. Don't just put down stuff for filler or for fluff. It needs to be a powerful piece. And so sometimes, I'm sorry, of course, my dogs would choose this moment to start fighting. Remember that short, economical pieces are going to be more powerful than ones where you ramble on. And when you tend to ramble on, you tend to drift off topic. So remember, be concise, be specific, and keep it economical. Your paper must be typed in a 12-point Times New Roman font, double-spaced, front side only. If you're printing, that only relates to printing, according to MLA specifications, and set your page margins to 1 inch all around. If you're using Google Docs, you can do that under page setup. Use the 2 essays that we read and discussed, Normandy Beachhead and Dancing on 74th Street, as models for your essay, and keep in mind so what and the common moves as you read and revise. This paper may only draw from materials discussed in class or from your own thoughts. You cannot use any outside sources such as books, magazines, paper files, friends and family members, or the internet. Papers that include outside material, whether documented or not, will receive a grade of 0. The important thing to remember there is it's your thoughts, it's your items, it should be your words that you use to describe it, okay? Final draft should be uploaded to, and that's Canvas, I'm sorry, it's no longer Blackboard, by 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, August the 22nd. I'm going to be going through a couple more things about your essay. The lecture tomorrow is going to be on good introductions. We'll talk about good conclusions. We'll talk about good uses of detail. You'll look at some essays, some different things. Remember that if you have questions or concerns or just anything that you need to discuss with me, you can reach me by email. And good luck.